All right, it is 7:30. I call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of supervisors.
First, 20 supervisors are present. Chairman Nudo, Supervisor Nedwesky, and Belsky are all excused.
All right, thank you. And we will start with citizen comments. If you have any citizen comments, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please. And you have 5 minutes.
Hello, Michael Bell, 3317 13th Place, Kenosha. I'd like to start out with just a little question. Does anybody know of a Kenosha County charitable organization that would like some additional funding? Our family has decided to help Kenosha County 50C3s if John Antaramian and John Morrissey will release a 19-year-old police bullet to an outside forensic examination. I'd like to remind the county board that the Kenosha Police Department released other evidence in the shooting death of my son, Michael Bell, that occurred back in 2004. They released a bloodstained jacket, his cell phone, and even after many years, Kenosha County Sheriff David Beth released metal flashing with a suspected impact location. We sent that off to a ballistics expert. And finally, the weapon that was used to kill my son was taken into evidence and then released back to Albert Gonzalez. And it is my understanding that he bought that weapon back in a buyback program for officers. Yet Mayor Antaramian and City Administrator Morrissey will not release a 19-year-old bullet. The city of Kenosha is so fervent about this piece of evidence that they challenged the Bell family from getting it both in circuit and appellate courts. So, as we enter the Christmas season, let's recognize some of the Kenosha's great charitable organizations which serve our community and could benefit from additional resources. Organizations such as the Hospice Alliance, Women Children's Horizons, the Kenosha County Food Bank, the Shalom Center, the Mahone Foundation, and Kemper Center. And smaller charities like Walking in My Shoes, LULAC, Kafasi, Education Leaders of Kenosha, and the Kenosha Junior Women's Club. I went around the room tonight and I passed out some guidelines for our family. We are going to be making a $100,000 donation to those charities that are in the Kenosha region. And about right now, your inbox should be accepting these full guidelines in a digital form. There are going to be 5 donations for $10,000 and 10 donations for $5,000. And essentially, the guidelines ask you 3 questions. Does a family that was involved with the loss of a child deserve closure? The second thing is does transparency increase trust in the community? The third question is why won't Mayor Antaramian and City Administrator Morrissey release a 19-year-old bullet even after other evidence has been released? So I ask you to pass along to those organizations that you know that are in your district that can use additional funding, especially those organizations that might be able to fund match. If they received a donation of $5,000 and there's another organization out there that's will match at $5,000, they can then go ahead and benefit from this. And if I need to, I can go ahead and increase the amount. And so I'd like you to pass that along, and I'm sure that as an elected official, that those charities be very grateful that you brought that information to them. So with that, Merry Christmas, thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Sue Grace Crocus. I live at 8785 3rd Avenue in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. Thank you for the 5 minutes, but hopefully I won't be taking that long. I first came to one of your meetings this summer in response to the Racial Justice and Equity Commission's business. And there was a talk about wanting to know good books to read on the subject. So tonight I thought I would bring a copy that I'm using, the Kerner report that was in 1968 over the Commission on Civil Disorder. I would suggest you pick up a copy. It's very helpful and it has a lot to do with what's going on right now in Kenosha. What happened in November, the board has no longer got any appointed members. Our county executive, Samantha Kirkman, rescinded, I believe that was the term that she used in her publication. Therefore, I'm rescinding all of the county executive appointees to the commission effective immediately. And there was no commission meeting the next day on the 16th. Since that time, I have called the other person that put out a statement, the Kenosha County Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Coordinator, 7 times. I've not received one response. I've also sent 2 emails. No response. I'm the mother of a mixed-race child, and we've had several very disturbing incidents since the August of 2020. I take this personally. What the Equity Inclusion Officer said was, this isn't the end of the county's racial equity work. This is an acknowledgement that what the REEC was doing wasn't working, and that we should pursue other strategies going forward. I look forward to assisting in any way I can. 7 unreturned phone calls doesn't strike me as assisting, and certainly not what I think my tax dollars should be going to pay for an employee. The other issue that I found out was that the secretary for the commission had been out for several months, just returning apparently this week. I confirmed that this morning with her, and that she knew nothing about what was going on with the commission. Nothing about next steps, nothing about what was going to happen, and basically she referred me back to the County Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Coordinator, who was supposedly doing the secretarial work. Can you sense the circular nature of my problem? Doing a lot of tail chasing. But my other problem is, I believe there are 2 supervisors who are still on the board. And according to Municipal Code 2.071, a majority of the supervisors entitled to a seat on a board or a commission or committee, therefore, shall constitute a quorum. If we have 2 commissioners who are still on the board, and the board is not disbanded, then don't we have a 2-person quorum? I don't understand why the meeting was not held on the 16th of November. I don't understand why I can't get any answers to my questions about what are these strategies that I've been promised, that we've been promised, now going into our 4th year. I would suggest that you also read President Biden's President Directive on racial injustice, equity, and federal dollars. I assume you all like receiving our fair share of those dollars. But right now, I don't see how they're being spent properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens wishing to speak? Any other citizens wishing to speak? Any other citizens wishing to speak? Seeing none, citizen comments are closed. Announcements of the Vice Chair. I would like to thank Maddie Tonko from the Human Services Committee, Youth and Governance, for attending tonight's meeting. The clerk. Go. What was that?
Do you want me to speak?
Go ahead.
I had just asked Vice Chair Decker if I could remind you guys about I sent you an email about the holiday party. If you could let me know either way, if you will be attending or not, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
That is all I have for comments or announcements. Supervisor reports. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to highlight an event that we held over the weekend. The first, what I assume is annual Christmas tree lighting at Pets Park. This was an incredible event. It was cold. I didn't enjoy that part, but it was very well attended. And I wanted to thank a few people in particular. I wanted to thank Matt Collins, our Parks Director, Wyatt in the Parks Department, Joe Patente, Mr. Patente, who's here this evening, as well as Jill Roselle, the County Executive's Office. Together, this team really put on an incredible event, and you could tell by the many young families that were there, families of all ages, really, but especially the young families, and seeing the joy and the happiness and then the children that were there. This was something great. This was something that got folks out into our parks. Our beer garden opened back up for it. I heard that they actually ran out of beer. I didn't drink any, so I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I did hear that. And it was great seeing other elected officials there as well. Yourself, Madam Chair, our county clerk was there as well. And I look forward to attending this next year. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of items. We have a few from Public Works that are already on the agenda. So just a couple more from our meeting on the 27th here of November. We have reduced the number of generators at the KCC from 2 to 1. There was going to be one for the building and one for the tower. And it's really important that these are up because there's a significant amount of backup services that couldn't happen if we ran out of if the power went down and we didn't get these generators up and going. But by being able to reroute some electric service and stabilize both the building and the tower electrical service, we could then just use the one generator, saving about $100,000 in that process. So I think Frank Martinelli, who's been working really hard on making that happen. One of the mural in the ceremony courtroom has been completed. The restoration is done. We have two more that we're doing an analysis on, so we can get an RFQ ready for those. But if you have a chance, stop up and see that mural. It's a larger one, and it was quite an intensive process to get it properly taken care of. Both golf courses, both golf facilities are down, with the exception of Brightondale now has their simulators up and going. It's about $22.50 for a half hour. Anyone wants to get up there, just go online. You can make a reservation there. We had approximately 2,000 more rounds this year of golf than last year. We had 108,369 rounds. That, along with the increased cost to help pay for now all of the upgrades and the red 9-hole course on the Red Pines course, I think it is, on at Brightondale now. The irrigation is new and is coming in under budget. So that's a good thing as well. It looks like that there won't be any fee increases for the dog parks or for Silver Lake Beach Park for next year. And other than that, I think the rest of my stuff is coming up in the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nordigan. Supervisor Bashaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to give a quick update on the Broadband Advisory Committee, which did meet this last week, Thursday. As you should be aware, previously we made a recommendation to the executive to expend a portion of the ARPA funds that are available to the committee toward adding security measures to the parks, including broadband access and security cameras, so that we can try to keep our parks safe. The team has been working on that project, and through their initial scoping has made some determinations of modifications to the plan, adapted where and what type of cameras and equipment would be required. From that, we have given an additional extended recommendation for $53,000 to be added to that fund to cover the costs associated with all of the parks. So they've done a fantastic job with that. Number two, I want to say thank you to the Highways Department, to Shelley and to the team that invited us out for coffee and donuts. It was a very enlightening opportunity. I really like the old trucks. Hope we don't get that much snow. There's some trucks that could manage just about anything we can throw at them. But it was a very productive time and a good opportunity to get together and understand what some of our Highways Department crews go through. So, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Bashaw. Any other supervisor reports? Seeing none, we will close supervisor reports. New business.
Resolution 74 from Public Works, Facilities Committee, and Finance Administration Committee, a resolution authorizing the Director of Parks to apply for grant funding from WISDOT for the Midwest Interstate Trail Phase 1. This passed at both committees. Supervisor Nordigan, Stocker, Carroll, and O'Day voting aye. Supervisor Thomas voting nay. Supervisor Belsky excused.
Supervisor Nordigan.
Move Resolution 74.
Wait, who was that? Sorry. It's okay, Terry. I have a motion by Supervisor Nordigan, a second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This resolution is for the design and construct about 1.7 miles of a 4-mile total multi-use path project in the western part of the county. It kind of runs and it'll run at the same time as the Highway W construction, it looks like. That's what we're trying to get it to, so probably wouldn't start, and it's not going to start in 2024, I don't believe, but the design would. And this is about 1.4 million, 1.38 million, whereas we're obligated to a 20% match or 276,000. That's going to come out of the park fund. That is from the monies collected from the various private, public organizations that we have put together where we receive money from there. So it's not going to come out of the levy unless I'm wrong on that, but I don't think so. Shelley, is that correct? Are you? Madam Chair, to Director of Public Works, please. So that is correct. We won't see any levy money coming out of this, correct? Okay, thank you. And then it is really just for the design and I think it's a total of 4 miles what we're looking at, and then that's supposed to connect up eventually to Lake County, McHenry County, and Walworth County, and hopefully someday the eastern part of Kenosha County, but right now we're just putting it all in place. So I ask for your support.
Any other supervisors with any, Supervisor Bashaw.
Just a simple question. As I read through the resolution, it doesn't have a time frame. If we apply for it now, is this a 2025 horizon line, or when would we potentially see some action?
Right, it's for the Kenosha County Approved Comprehensive Bike Plan 2025. So it is, we are looking for 2025.
Is that all, Supervisor Bashaw?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we have a roll call vote. I believe this is a budget modification, so it requires 2/3 vote.
Resolution 74 passes with 19 yes and 1 no. Resolution 75 from the Public Works and Facilities Committee, a resolution to support maintaining Sheridan Road as currently configured. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Belsky excused.
Supervisor Geertsen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Geertsen and a second by Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Geertsen?
Thank you. I learned back in July that the Department of Transportation was having a meeting about the reconstruction of Sheridan Road from the north of Alfred Park all the way up into Racine on 21st Street in Racine. So I attended that meeting in August, and I learned that DOT was presenting 3 proposals. One was to keep the road as is. The second one was to actually turn Sheridan Road from a 4-lane to a 2-lane road with a twiddle lane, and adding some sidewalks and some bike routes onto the road. And then a third option that was similar to option 2. And actually, Department of Transportation was recommending the option 2, changing 4 lanes to 2 lanes with a middle lane, what is called a twiddle lane. So at that meeting, I saw that the village was very concerned about that. They presented a lot of items that of concern. One is it would be very difficult for Public Works for their Public Works Department to plow the roads and maintain and manage the roads. The main reason that Department of Transportation cited for changing the road was for safety, and they cited some safety statistics. Again, the village was very concerned about it. They actually adopted a resolution requesting that we keep the road as is with the 4 lanes. So I brought that back, and actually Supervisor Grady reached out to me and said that if we wanted to do a resolution, he would co-sign with me. So I want to say thank you to Supervisor Grady for co-signing, and after I finish my comments through the chair, he will try to tag team this a bit if that's permitted, and I'm sure Supervisor Grady will have some comments. So by sheer coincidence, today, the Department of Transportation had another meeting at the village. They had gone through part of the process. They had a public information meeting. 50 people, a little over 50 people attended that. So it wasn't really representative. In that meeting, almost everybody expressed that they would like to keep it 4 lanes. One of the things I said was that the county, either through their own funds or through a combination of county and state money, has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on KR, Highway 142, and other roads, increasing the lane miles. We also asked some questions. They answered some of our questions. One question was, would it reduce our highway aids? That is a silver lining. If they do end up doing this, we would not see a reduction in our highway aids. But we did ask about the safety. We asked them to do a deep dive into their safety statistics. To be honest, the information that we had in August indicated that most of the significant accidents were related to impaired driving for different reasons. The DOT presented statistics that said it was 13%. So to be honest, that was the information they had. But we asked for more information on that. We don't know if that included the Racine part. We don't know if the more significant public safety issues or the accidents were where the driver impairments were. So they would provide more information. We also asked for some benchmarking. How significant was the public safety on this road compared to the average, which they hadn't provided. So the village, again, adopted this. City representatives were there at the meeting. I want to back up a little bit. Prior to today, we met with Public Works. It was a good meeting. I want to thank the Chairman Nordigan, and Public Works Committee for unanimously supporting this resolution. And I also want to thank the County Board Supervisors that were present. Supervisor Gaschke, Supervisor Stock were present. Senator Wirch was there, and County Executive Kirkman was there, all expressing concern about losing the ability to have traffic flow here. So I support the resolution, and I hope the rest of this board supports this resolution. The village just incorporated not too long ago. We have multiple TIF districts. The city is undertaking billions of dollars of development that will affect the traffic flow on Sheridan Road. I doubt whether the state's estimates take the development in this area, in this zone, into account when they're doing this road. So with that, if it's okay, Madam Chair, I would turn it over to Supervisor Grady.
Supervisor Grady?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to recapitulate about some of the items that were gone over at the town hall in Summers today. Our Director of Highways, as you well may know, Clement Abangwa, is from the DOT. He has his past history with the DOT and is intimately familiar with how they work. And his opening question was, well, as I recall, wasn't it in 2004 thereabouts that Sheridan Road was reconstructed from one travel lane in each direction to two, and that's his current configuration. So seeing that Racine has grown in that time, Kenosha has grown in that time, why would there now be a desire to make it smaller? And there wasn't an immediate answer, but during the conversation, it came out and they said, well, this is what's happening in DOT. This is what's happening from the top down. This is what the management wants to do. They're saying that instead of a model which accentuates efficiency, smooth travel, better traffic flows, we're now taking a different approach, and that is we need to have safer roads, and we need to provide access for alternative forms of transportation besides automobile. And I think that in the discussions we had, I don't think anybody is really disputing that. I mean, I think it is a good idea, but it has to be viewed in the context that's present. So just to give a very brief overview, and then I'm going to move on so we can carry our business forward, is Kenosha County is quite a bicycle-friendly entity. Over the past 8 to 10 years, any new roads that have been constructed do have provision for a non-traffic, that is vehicular traffic area, to have bicycle pedestrian, because there's approximately 6 feet or so of area that is paved that is reserved for other uses rather than just motor vehicles. So we already have that. On Sheridan Road, I don't think DOT is aware of this, a mere quarter mile or 3/8 of a mile to the west from the segment we're talking about, we have a county bike path. It's dedicated for bicycles. It's a safe thing. So the idea which DOT is trying to proffer, trying to move forward, is good from the 10,000-foot view, but it doesn't apply in certain circumstances maybe as readily as it should. Sheridan Road being an example of that. We had the fire chief from Village of Summer speak, and he goes, do you know that in that stretch, there are 24 roads that intersect Sheridan Road? Now, they're little short residential streets, they're not through streets, but there's 24 of them. Add to that the number of private driveways. So when you put all this together and you try to say, okay, we're going to reconfigure this and we're going to put in this type of a bike lane, this type of thing, it's not really a good example of how the thing should be designed. Supervisor Nordigan, when we had our bike signage initiative throughout the county, certain areas were designated, and he noted aptly that there were certain areas, Highway C for one, where the speeds are quite high, the sight lines are poor, there's curves, there's hills and so forth, should not have a sign there that said this is a recommended bike route, because it was hazardous. It was just bad policy. So over the course of, how long did it go, 2 hours? Yeah. 2 hours. We had, I think, 13 or 14 people present, and the message loud and clear to DOT was, we understand what you're saying. In general terms, you probably have a good approach, but on this particular case, no, this is way off mark. We don't support it. Please look into this and keep the configuration as it is, and don't make the situation worse than it is or has the potential to be. Furthermore, it's kind of interesting. You'd think that, they have this responsibility and this capability to reduce the speed limit. We said that'd be one of the things to be sensible to do, and they said, well, that's beyond the scope of our project. That's not what's on the table. We can't simply say we'd like to maintain the existing travel lanes and reduce the traffic speed. And it's like, well, isn't that an obvious thing? And it is, but in their bureaucracy, it doesn't work that way. So it's enough of my yammering. I think I'll let others carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Berg?
Thank you, Madam Chair. From the get-go of this, I've even talked to President Stoner. I've not have been a supporter of what the DOT wants to do. Reasons being is I've spoken to a lot of renters on the east side of Sheridan in the multitude of apartments over there, and many of them, when they want to walk their animal, they got to walk in the grass, or if they walk on a street, you got cars going by them. As it stands, I'm not going to support this because of the renters and needing to, ride their bike. If you take your bike from just north of Carthage and jump on the county bike path, sure, that'll take you up to 35th Street and 35th Avenue, 28th Avenue. But then if they're working downtown, they have to go west and then come back east. So that's the main reason why I'm not going to support this. I've also often driven Sheridan south of us, and I know using the state to the south of us is never a good idea, but in the neighborhoods that Sheridan Road is in, I've never seen an accident there. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's such an affluent area that, does that build our opportunity here in Summers? I don't know, maybe. But in terms of walking your dog and taking your child on a stroll in her stroller, or even walking your children, there's no place for renters to do that. And oftentimes, those that I've spoken to are the homeowners that, when I've gone to a couple of the DOT meetings, and it's always homeowners that are there, not renters. It's not to say that they don't have a voice, because they absolutely do. But that's the reason why I'm not going to support this as is. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Berg. Supervisor Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair to either of the co-sponsors, has the City of Racine or the Racine County Board taken action on this?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Then I would move that we add the following language to the final, be it further resolved. It would read that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Kenosha County, the Racine County Board, the Racine City Council, and then the rest as it reads currently, Kenosha County State Legislative Delegation and Wisconsin Department of Transportation. I think we're sending a clear message here from the two levels of government in Kenosha County. I'm not sure, none of us in this room represent Racine County, but I'm sure that they may have similar concerns, and I think it's important that they know what we're doing here. And let me reword it, because we're going to include one more. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Racine County Board, the Racine City Council, and the Village of Mount Pleasant. And then the rest as is written. That's my motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Supervisor Geertsen. Do you have that, Reggie? Yes. Okay. On the amendment now, does anyone have any questions on the amendment? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The amendment passes. So we're back to the resolution as amended. Did you have anything else, Supervisor Rodriguez?
Nothing further.
Okay. Supervisor Stock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to add a couple points to the discussion that's been. I was at the meeting today. It was a very long and informative meeting. To some of the points that were brought up, the best option for that corridor, which is a highway. We have Highway 31, we have 94, and we have Sheridan. If you cut Kenosha County up in threes as far as your north and south highways, the best option would be to add sidewalks on either end of Sheridan, and or it would be a multi-use path on either end, on the off the road of Sheridan, to accommodate pedestrian traffic, bicycle traffic, those type of things. Unfortunately, from what we heard from the Village Summers was that the landowners aren't willing to give up their land for that. They're not willing to give up the land needed to put in the sidewalks and or a multi-use trail. And so from the DOT's perspective, they were willing to fund it 100%, but because there was the issue and the roadblock per se of of getting the off-road sidewalk or multi-use path. That wasn't the option that they were presenting. They were giving us two options, basically leave it as configured or bring it down to a two-lane highway with the twiddle lane in the center, and then painted bike lanes, which they're asserting would be safer for bicycle traffic. I have ridden my bicycle down that section. I personally like riding my bike on the off-road bike trails. I'll take the one down, start out on Simmons Beach, take the off-road bike path all the way up to Carthage. I will jump onto Sheridan, which has two lanes. I will take the right lane, which has signage that says bicycles can use the full lane, and I will ride up to E, where I then head west and continue on our county bike trails, where we have a trail going north up to Racine, or you can take it further east and head, or further west and head around Petts Park, and then we have paved bike trails going west of 31 into Racine as well. So we have a great network for recreational use already in place. The one point that wasn't brought up so far tonight is when you add the twiddle lane, an off-road or an on-road bike lane, and reduce the traffic to one lane, the unintended consequences, you're going to have traffic that is needing to turn into their driveway, or you have your mail trucks, you have your garbage trucks, you have traffic that needs to make an occasional stop along Sheridan. And with the configuration that they're proposing, anytime that vehicle stops, you're backing up traffic. And what happens, and we see it over here in Pleasant Prairie on 85th, is when that happens, drivers get impatient and they will go around. They'll either go cut left over that twiddle lane and try to cut through the center lane back onto traffic, or in the case of what happens often in Pleasant Prairie, is they will cut over into the bike lane in that, or parking where we have in Pleasant Prairie, to get around the stopped cars to keep moving forward, because it's a highway. We're supposed to be moving traffic. Pleasant Prairie has had to put up large cones in sections to stop motorists from doing that. And you're going to see that more and more and more on a road that the community is used to traversing as a highway to commute back and forth from Racine. Bringing that down, on paper, it looks safer from the state's point of view, but what we heard from the meeting, and I believe what the overall feel of the community, is that it's really not safer. And so I would just add that point of it. I would not feel safer biking on an on-road bike lane on that highway. I feel much safer having the whole right lane to myself, and because it allows traffic to move freely around me instead of being bottlenecked. So I would like to add that. I do support the resolution. We did have a great discussion with the state, and fingers crossed, we're hopeful that they will take this into consideration. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Stock. Any other supervisors?
Roll call.
Seeing none, roll call vote. It's as amended on the resolution.
Resolution 75 passes, 19 yes, 1 no. Resolution 76 from Public Works Facilities Committee, a resolution to approve the formation of a focus committee for development of KC Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. This passed unanimously at committee with Supervisor Belsky excused.
Supervisor Nordigan?
Move Resolution 76.
Moved by Supervisor Nordigan, second by Supervisor Carroll. Supervisor Nordigan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is basically putting together a 5-year plan, comprehensive safety action plan. Again, to identify crash hotspots throughout the county. I believe there's a similar one currently with the city, but this is going to encompass the entire county, bringing in all the other county villages and towns as well, and city. Well, there's only one city. But again, unless there's any more than it's a 5-year study to identify these high-risk areas. Then we're supposed to put a plan together to address those high-risk areas. High-risk areas would be where there's injuries or deaths or accidents, and to reduce them. The goal is to reduce them to 0. But obviously, you don't do that overnight, and it's going to take some time. So the plan is every 5 years to be looked at. So this is the first 5-year, that we'd be, first plan we're looking at for the first 5 years. And I don't know if there's anything more that our Director of Public Works can add to that. I'm certainly open to it if she is.
Supervisor Nordigan is correct. We will be putting together a focus group to get internal discussion as to what they're seeing out on the roads. We're hoping that they can take that back to their street crews, their highway crews, and get some input as well. So we really want to get a list and then prioritize that over the next 5 years with that 20-year lookout, so that in 5 years we do have a list of possible other locations to do some work or have some additional enhancements done. But that is all, any more I can add, so thank you.
And to add, thank you, I'm sorry, go ahead. And to add a little bit more to that is it also will help direct us on roads that we want to improve instead of just looking at a PACER rating. Obviously, it's important, but if there are other areas we can take money and put them towards to meet our plan or action plan. And to give an idea, in the town of Randall, the 3 worst roads were Highway F and O, where F was redone and relocated, and Highway W over where it is south of Wilmot, really bad accident areas, and then where F and R meet. We've addressed all 3 of those. One was when we added the 4-way stop at F and O instead of a 2-way stop. That significantly reduced those issues there. We're looking at Highway W now for a 2025 plan where we're updating the state line, W from the state line all the way up to just about the stage stop, a little bit north, and a little bit on Highway C. So the next one to really look at is FR and F, where we have some blind spots there if you're coming out of FR heading east on F. And there's other incidences that happen along there. One of the reasons why I didn't want to have bike signs on Highway F either, but they're there. So it's not a bad, I think it's 300,000 is what we're looking at, and I don't believe we put anything into that. Correct? We don't have to put 20%? We do. Didn't have that in my notes, sorry.
Correct. This is funded through the grant.
Okay, 100%. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it also allows us to be eligible for other federal grants based on our action plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nordigan. Any other supervisors? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Communications, 63 from Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to approve Kenosha County's intent and agreement to self-insure for workers' compensation.
Refer to Finance and Administration Committee.
64, communication from Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution to adopt the 2023-2028 Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Refer to Judiciary and Law Committee.
The approval of the November 21st, 2023 minutes by Supervisor O'Day.
Supervisor O'Day.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Supervisor O'Day, a second by Supervisor Uhas. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. I have a motion to adjourn by Supervisor Rodriguez and a second by Supervisor Berg. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned.